First World War created a new atmosphere for expressing art. With mandatory drafts and artists being put in the middle of the conflict and combat, we saw a flood of artwork come forward from an otherwise horrific and terrifying war. They displayed first-hand accounts of advances in warfare and depicted the serious effects of fighting on the environment and landscapes of various countries. Otto Dix. Born in 1891 in Germany, Otto Dix was exposed to art at an early age. His cousin had a studio where Otto would often spend time taking in the art his cousin was creating. After his apprenticeship as a landscape painter, the First World War began in 1914, and Otto went to work as a machine gunner. After experiencing many atrocities in the war, Otto came home with scenes of war imprinted in his mind. He depicted many scenes that sparked controversy that included paintings of men in gas masks that showed the impersonal nature of war due to new advancements in weaponry. Also, the ability to recall these scenes after he returned home shows the impact the visuals he saw in war left on him. From his depiction of minefields to a dead man riding in the mud, he gives dark, shadowy, and lifeless depictions of the First World War.
Paul Nash. Paul Nash was a surrealist painter and a war artist, photographer, writer, and designer. He returned from World War I after serving and began his art using watercolors and pastel sketches. He is known as one of the most important landscape artists in the 20th century. One of his most famous art pieces is called "We Are Making a New World." He created this piece in 1918, and the painting was a scene from the war-torn Western Front. The trees stand as gravestones for the men no longer standing. His painting is considered to be the most memorable image of the war.
Harvey Dunn was one of the most symbolic artists during World War I. Dunn was most known for being a combat artist and his depictions of his many own experiences coming from his traumatic scenes of the war. Harvey Dunn was born in South Dakota in 1884, where he grew up, and before his time in the military, he served as an art teacher for a junior high. Dunn served as a captain of an expeditionary force in France, where he fought and experienced many of his drawings. One of Dunn's most famous works is his depiction of a hand grenade exploding in the midst of German soldiers. Dunn experienced this event in France, and the New York Tribune published the emotional photo in their article in March of 1919. Dunn's ability to show off the intense emotion of World War I is ever so present in his painting titled Street Fighting. The photo depicts a fellow soldier firing his weapon in the streets of France, and a lone soldier stands over his fallen brother in arms, surrounded by collapsed building and ruins of a small village. Dunn rarely depicted his experiences in color, and he did this purposely to emphasize that these events were miserable for anyone who would witness them. The lack of any color really expresses the melancholy and gloomy theme that Dunn portrayed so well. Dunn was lucky enough to live through these tragic times, and after the war he continued painting his experiences until he passed away in New York at the age of 68.
Eric Kennington, born in March 12, 1888, was an English sculptor, illustrator, and war artist in both World War I and World War II. Eric specialized in depiction of the daily hardships endured by soldiers and pilots. Eric was enlisted with the 13th London Regiment and fought on the Western Front, but he suffered terrible injuries which caused him to get sent home. During his recovery time, Eric painted the Kissington at Levanty, which depicted a group of British soldiers standing in a village street. When the painting was exhibited in 1916, it became a sensation. It made people call Eric Kennington a born painter of the nameless heroes of the rank and file.